On July 17th, 2039, something happened that changed the future of humanity. At a quiet research station in New Mexico, a deep space satellite caught a strange signal. It came from near a black hole, far beyond our solar system. At first, it sounded like random noise. But when the data was slowed down and cleaned, it became clear. This was not just a signal. It was a message. Dr. Rachel Voss stood alone in the dark control room. The walls around her buzzed with machines, screens flashing lines of alien code. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Her eyes were red, and her coffee had gone cold, but she didn't care. The signal was still playing. Every time she listened to it, she felt like something, or someone, was listening back. Rachel was not just any scientist. She was once considered the brightest mind in astrophysics, but after a personal loss and a failed mission years ago, she had stepped away from the spotlight. Now, this signal had brought her back, and what she found in the message was impossible to ignore. The pattern in the signal repeated. Every 37 seconds, the same tone, a pulse, then a pause, then a series of symbols, shaped like language, but nothing human. Over the next few days, Rachel and a small team decoded part of the message. It wasn't a distress call. It wasn't asking for help. It was inviting them. The signal was an invitation. She stared at the screen, whispering to herself, who would send something from inside a black hole? NASA quickly called together a secret task force. They knew black holes weren't supposed to send anything out. Not even light could escape their pull. But this one did. And that broke every rule of physics. A ship was already in the works. It was experimental, built for deep space exploration. Its name was Event 1. Unlike normal spacecraft, this one was built to approach, and possibly survive, the edge of a black hole. It used a new kind of engine, based on quantum drive theories that only a few even understood. Rachel was asked to lead the science team on board. She didn't hesitate. As the crew prepared for launch, the signal changed. Again, new data came in. Now, along with the alien symbols, there were fragments of ancient Earth languages, Sanskrit, Mayan glyphs, even Egyptian hieroglyphs, coded into the stream. The message was adapting. Someone, or something, on the other side knew Earth's history. That night, Rachel stood outside the launch hangar, staring at the stars. One of the engineers, David Lynn, walked over and asked, "You think it's real? That there's someone out there waiting?" Rachel didn't answer right away. Then she said, "It's not just real. It's watching us." Inside the control center, the final checks for the ship began. The crew of Event 1, 6 people in total, trained for years for a mission like this. Though none expected they'd be flying into the unknown, into the mouth of a black hole. AT mission briefing. The room was silent. Everyone stared at the 3D map of the black hole, marked with the source of the signal. A place beyond human understanding. Rachel stepped forward and said, "If this is a trap, we won't survive. But if it's not, it could be the most important discovery in history." The countdown to launch began. The ship glowed softly in the dark as power surged through it. The engines hummed with energy never tested in real space. The crew climbed aboard, each carrying a mix of hope, fear, and curiosity. As the clock ticked closer to zero, the signal flared again. Louder, stronger, the same pulse. But now, for the first time, there was a sound buried inside it, a voice. It didn't speak in any Earth language. But somehow, every person who heard it felt the same thing in their minds. "Come closer. We've been waiting." Back in mission control, computers froze for a split second. Lights flickered. Then the power returned. On Rachel's monitor, the signal began playing Earth's oldest musical scales, haunting notes that hadn't been heard in centuries. The message was no longer just mathematical. It was emotional. The ship was ready. The launch began. As Event 1 rose from Earth and broke through the atmosphere. The black hole waited in deep space, silent and still. The crew didn't know what they would find, but something out there already knew they were coming. And it had opened the door. Event 1 traveled faster than any ship before it. Its engines were silent in the vacuum of space, but inside, every second felt heavy. No one spoke much. Each crew member sat strapped in, watching the stars stretch and twist around them. The black hole, codenamed Abyss 47, grew larger on the screen. No human ship had ever gone this far. Beyond Pluto, beyond the edge of the solar system, The stars looked different. And in the center of it all was the dark circle. The black hole didn't shine, but its gravity bent the light around it, making it look like a rip in the universe. Rachel Voss sat in the observation deck, staring at it. She didn't blink. She had spent years studying black holes, writing papers, building theories. But none of them prepared her for what she was seeing now. "It's beautiful," said David Lynn from the pilot's chair. "No," Rachel said softly. "It's hiding something." The signal was still active, stronger than before. Now it played through the ship's systems, like background noise, except it wasn't noise anymore. The rhythm of the pulse had changed, like it was syncing with the ship's movement. Some of the crew started calling it the heartbeat. Time began to behave strangely as they approached. Clocks ticked slower. Personal devices desynced. When the crew spoke, sometimes their voices came out delayed by half a second. The ship's AI, Iris, ran constant recalibrations just to keep systems balanced. "We're entering the outer gravity field," Iris said. "All external communication will stop in 1 minute. Earth would lose all contact." Rachel sent a final message to Mission Control. "Crossing now. See you on the other side." There was no answer. Only silence. The ship moved closer to the event horizon, the boundary where light and time could not escape. Everyone braced for chaos. The plan was simple: reach the horizon, release a small probe, and pull away fast. No one actually expected to survive a full crossing, but the black hole didn't pull them in. Instead, something else happened. A corridor appeared, made of light. It stretched out from the edge of the black hole like a tunnel, curving inward. It wasn't natural. It moved, like it was adjusting itself for them, like it was waiting. "Are we seeing this?" David asked. "Yes," Rachel whispered. "It's showing us a way through." They had a decision to make. Follow the mission plan, or go inside. Rachel looked around at the crew. "We were invited. That message, it built this. It wants us to enter." One by one, the crew gave small nods. David steered the ship into the corridor. As they entered, the ship shook slightly, like passing through static. Then everything went quiet. The tunnel glowed in soft blue light, and around them, the darkness twisted like liquid. Stars vanished. Only the tunnel remained. Inside, the normal laws of space didn't apply. The ship wasn't falling. It was floating forward, guided by something unseen. The AI reported no gravitational damage, no time dilation. The black hole should have crushed them, but instead, they were being carried. Then, one of the crew screamed. Outside the observation window, something moved across the tunnel wall. A shape, not mechanical, not human, just a flicker, a shadow that didn't belong. "I saw it," said Dr. Elena Cortez, breathing fast. "There's something in here with us." Rachel stared out, trying to see it again. But the tunnel showed nothing, just curves of blue light. "How is this possible?" she asked. No one answered. They kept moving forward, deeper into the unknown. Suddenly, the light dimmed. The corridor was ending. Ahead was total blackness. A smooth surface, like glass, stretched in front of them. The signal pulsed louder, more urgent. Then a word appeared on the front screen, glowing in white. The crew exchanged glances. No one knew what would happen next. David reached for the controls. "Here we go." The ship passed through the black surface like water, and then it disappeared. Back on Earth, the last signal from Event 1 was received 5 minutes later. Just a single burst of sound, high-pitched, layered, full of strange harmonics. Then nothing. The mission was declared lost. The crew of Event 1 were gone. But inside the black hole, the story was only beginning. Event 1 passed through the dark surface, and then there was light. Not bright, not harsh, but soft and silver. Outside the windows, the crew expected nothing. Just blackness, maybe destruction. But what they saw was something else. Something impossible. The ship floated inside a vast space that stretched endlessly in every direction. There were no stars, no planets. Just emptiness lit by a strange glow, like moonlight without a moon. And then, they saw it. Floating in the distance were massive structures, dark shapes, too perfect to be natural. Towers, bridges, rings the size of cities spinning slowly in the emptiness. Some were broken, like ruins. Others looked new. It wasn't a void. It was a world. Rachel stood frozen at the front window. She didn't speak. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear. From all. We're inside something, she whispered. Something built. The AI, Iris, scanned the environment. Atmosphere. Detected. Gravity stable. No radiation spikes. This area is artificially controlled. How is that possible? David asked. We're inside a black hole. Elena stared out at the rotating rings. This isn't inside a black hole. This is beyond it. The crew didn't understand what that meant. Not YET.as they moved forward. The ship followed a smooth path, like invisible tracks pulling them in. The closer they got to the structures, the more details became clear. The walls were covered in glowing lines, symbols similar to the ones in the original signal. The same curves, the same patterns. Whoever built this place had sent the message. Prepare for landing, Iris announced. The ship gently descended onto a wide platform, surrounded by tall spires reaching into the sky. But the sky wasn't sky at all. It was a dome of swirling gray, as if time itself was stuck in slow motion. The doors opened. Air rushed in, cool and clean. The crew stepped out carefully, scanning everything, watching every shadow. Rachel touched the platform floor. It was smooth, like metal, but warmer, almost like skin. This place is alive, she said softly. The spires around them buzzed faintly. Low vibrations echoed through the ground. The signal was still playing, but now it didn't come from the ship. It came from the walls, the floor, the air. This place was broadcasting. They followed a narrow path toward one of the buildings. As they walked, the lights around them flickered in rhythm with their footsteps. The place reacted to their presence. It was guiding them. Inside the structure, they found a chamber. At the center stood a tall pillar covered in alien writing. It pulsed with light. The crew stepped closer. As they did, the pillar shifted, parts of it moving like gears, revealing a screen. On the screen appeared a symbol, and then a face. Not a real face, not human. Just an outline, a shape that looked like it was trying to be human. Its mouth didn't move, but a voice filled the chamber. You have come, it said. The crew froze. Rachel looked at the image. Who are you? The voice answered. The first door has opened. More will follow. What does that mean? Elena asked, in no response. Then, without warning, the screen went dark. The pillar folded back into itself. The ground shook slightly, and a sound like thunder rolled through the chamber. One of the crew, Marcus Reed, stepped forward and touched the base of the pillar, and vanished. There was no flash, no sound. He was there, and then he was gone. Everyone panicked. David ran to where Marcus had stood. Nothing was there. No doorway, no trap, just the floor. Iris, Rachel said, track his vitals. Offline, the AI replied. No signal detected. Rachel touched the pillar, carefully. Nothing happened. It reacted to him only, she said. It chose him. Suddenly, the pillar lit up again. This time, it showed a new image. Not symbols. Not a face. It was Earth. The globe rotated slowly, but parts of it were marked. Glowing dots, places all over the planet. Temples, caves, old cities. Ancient places. Rachel stared at it, eyes wide. They've been watching us. The voice returned. You were shaped. Prepared. Then silence again. Outside the chamber, the spires dimmed. A new path lit up across the platform, leading to another structure. Deeper in the city, the crew didn't know if Marcus was alive. They didn't know what the pillar meant. But one thing was clear. This place was not abandoned. It was waiting. And it had just begun to wake up. The path lit by the alien lights stretched deep into the silent city. The crew moved slowly, unsure if they were walking into danger or discovery. Every step echoed across the smooth floor. Around them, tall towers hummed faintly, almost like breathing. Rachel kept looking back. Marcus was gone, and they still didn't know how or where. The AI still couldn't detect any signal from his suit. It was as if the black hole had erased him completely, but she didn't believe he was dead. Not yet. The new building looked different from the others. It was round, with a dome roof and walls carved with shapes that looked almost human. Arms, hands, faces frozen in time. Some were beautiful. Others looked afraid. Inside, the air was warmer. Dim lights moved across the walls like they were alive. At the center stood another pillar. This one shorter, wide, and surrounded by floating objects. Metal plates turning slowly in the air, like they were weightless. Elena walked toward the pillar and reached out. As soon as her hand got close, the air shimmered, and the room changed. The walls disappeared. Suddenly, the crew stood in an open space, surrounded by stars. A projection, maybe, but it felt real. They were floating in space, but without suits, without ships. The view shifted and zoomed in on a planet that Earth.it looked just like it should, but then a second planet appeared. Earth again, but not the same. The land masses were different, older, before humans. Then came the voice again. Calm, cold, not male or female. Your kind was not the first. The images changed. Strange creatures walked across ancient Earth, tall, thin, eyes glowing. They stood at temples, drawing the same symbols the crew saw earlier. They built massive towers, machines, star maps. They were not human, but they were intelligent. They were chosen. The voice continued. As you are now, Rachel whispered. These are the builders. The voice answered. They opened the path. They found the door between time and gravity. But they did not listen. The scene darkened. The builders' cities crumbled. The sky turned red. A giant black shape, round and endless, descended from space. The screen flickered. The builders were gone. The voice grew softer. They entered. The black horizon. They became part of it. The room returned to normal. The projection ended. The floating plates dropped slowly back into place. The crew stood silent, taking in what they had just seen. These beings, they didn't just send the signal, Rachel said. They created this place. And they were trying to warn us. David stepped back. Warn us? Or lead us into the same trap? I don't know, she said. But we've passed the point of return. Suddenly, Iris spoke. Incoming life form detected. Everyone froze. Location? Rachel asked. Close. Moving toward this structure. The crew pulled out scanners and weapons. Their mission hadn't expected life out here. Nothing like this. But something was coming. Footsteps echoed outside. Slow. Heavy. But nothing showed on the exterior cams. The doors opened, but no one entered. Instead, the hallway behind them shifted, walls stretching, lights flickering. The building was changing. Its shape. And in the center of the new corridor stood Marcus. But something was wrong that he looked the same, but his eyes were different. Wider. Unblinking. His skin looked pale, his movements too smooth, too perfect. Marcus? Elena stepped forward, that he didn't respond. Just stood still, like he was listening to something far away. Then he spoke. But his voice was layered, his own voice mixed with another. They are awake now, he said. The door will not close. Rachel stepped back. Marcus, can you hear me? He looked at her. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Fear, maybe. Recognition. But it was gone in a second. Then he collapsed. The crew rushed forward. His vitals were weak, but present. He was breathing, but unconscious. Iris scanned his brainwaves. Foreign signals detected, she said. Non-human pattern merged with neural activity. Something came back with him, Rachel said. Or something used him. The walls pulsed again, brighter now. The signal returned, louder than before, deeper in tone. It filled the room with a low vibration that shook the floor. Then, the dome's ceiling opened. Above them was a sky full of black shapes. Dozens, maybe hundreds, of objects floated above the city. Some looked like ships, others like machines. All silent, all watching, David whispered. They're here. Rachel didn't move. She stared at the sky, heart racing. This wasn't just a ruin or a message from the past. This was a meeting point. The builders had reached out, and now something else had answered. Rachel stood under the open dome, staring up at the black sky full of floating shapes. They didn't move. They didn't blink. But every instinct in her body said one thing. They were watching. Marcus was still unconscious. His pulse steady now, but his brainwaves were strange. He was breathing like normal, but it was clear. Something inside him had changed. David and Elena stayed close to him, keeping scanners on. The rest of the crew watched the sky, silent. No one wanted to speak. No one dared to. Then, all at once, the lights across the city turned off. Complete darkness fell over them. Only the sky above glowed with soft silver light. From the shadows came a sound. It wasn't footsteps. It wasn't mechanical. It was like stone grinding against stone, slow and deep. Rachel turned toward the corridor behind them. Something moved that it was tall, thin, barely visible in the low light. Its body looked like stretched, bone wrapped in smoke. No face, no eyes, but it was looking straight at them. Another one stepped into view beside it. Then another. 3 in total. N01 moved. Even Iris stopped speaking. Then, one of the beings stepped forward. Its arms opened wide, not in threat, but like a welcome. A voice echoed through the building. Not spoken aloud. It was inside their heads. You returned. From the light. Rachel held her breath. Who are you? The voice answered without sound. We are the witnesses. We remain here. We watch the path. David whispered. Are you the builders? No, the voice said. The builders are gone. Their minds became the path. They became the gate. Rachel stepped forward. The signal, we followed it here. Was that from them? Yes. The voice said. They called you. They knew the cycle would return. What cycle? Elena asked. The beings shifted slightly, as if uncomfortable. The voice became quieter. The cycle that feeds the black. Life, to knowledge, to silence. One of the beings turned to Marcus. It reached out a hand, but stopped short of touching him. He carries the echo, it said. The builders touched his mind. He saw the other side. Rachel looked at Marcus. Can we save him? His path is still open, the voice replied. But the gate will choose. The crew was quiet. No one fully understood. Not yet. Then, without warning, a beam of blue light shot down from the sky, right outside the dome. It wasn't an attack. It was a portal, a doorway. Inside the light, shadows moved, slowly at first, then faster. Dozens of figures began to walk through. They weren't the witnesses. They looked more human, but not quite. Taller, smoother. Their skin shimmered like glass under the light. One of them walked ahead of the others. When she stepped forward, Rachel felt something strange. A presence in her thoughts. Not painful, but powerful. You are not afraid, the being said aloud. Her voice was calm, almost human. I'm trying not to be, Rachel replied. You've come farther than the others, she said. Farther than any before you. Who are you? The being looked up at the sky. We are the last echoes of the builders. Memory without time. Mind without form. Rachel frowned. You survived? In a way, she said. We became part of the path. We no longer live, but we remember. The rest of the crew stepped closer, slowly, weapons lowered. What do you want from us? David asked. The being looked at each of them, pausing at Marcus. To choose, she said. To choose what? Rachel asked. The being pointed to the sky. Your world is close to the edge. You have touched gravity, played with time, opened doors you do not understand. Soon, you will face what we faced. Extinction? Elena said quietly. Decision? The being answered. You can become like us, or vanish like the others. Rachel didn't speak. The weight of that choice filled the air. Then, the being turned to Marcus again. He is the first. The path is opening through him. Suddenly, Marcus gasped. His eyes snapped open, but they were glowing now, pale white, like stars trapped in ice. I see it, he said, voice shaking. The other side. I see everything. He looked at Rachel. They're not alone. Rachel stepped back. What do you mean? Marcus pointed up at the sky. There's something beyond them. Watching them. Feeding off them. It's coming. The beings didn't speak. The sky above pulsed once, like a heartbeat. The ground shook. The signal returned, louder than ever. But this time, it wasn't a welcome. It was a warning. Asterisk, the signal rang through every structure. Louder, faster. The ground trembled under their feet. The floating towers in the sky began to spin. Slowly at first, then faster, like something was building inside them. Marcus stood perfectly still, eyes still glowing. He wasn't shaking anymore. His voice was calm, but empty. They're waking it up. Rachel turned to the being, the one who claimed to be an echo of the builders. What's coming? The echo didn't answer at first. She watched the spinning towers, then spoke softly. The one they couldn't stop. Elena grabbed her scanner. What is it? A weapon? No. The echo said. A hunger. Born from what they opened. Born from their minds. David stepped forward. What does it want? The echo looked at him. Everything. Above them, one of the towers cracked. A ripple spread across the sky like water folding in on itself. The stars above twisted, pulling toward a center point. that hadn't been there before. A second black hole, smaller than the one they entered, but growing fast. Rachel turned to the witnesses. You said we could choose. What are our choices? The nearest witness stepped closer. You return. You warn your world. You prepare. Or you stay, he said. You join what remains of the builders. You hold the line. Marcus spoke again, but this time it wasn't only his voice. You can't run. The door is open now. What comes next will follow. The echo touched his forehead. His body jerked, then relaxed. The glow in his eyes dimmed. He collapsed into Rachel's arms. He saw too much, the echo said. But he's still yours. Rachel laid him down gently. His breathing was steady now. She looked up at the new black hole spinning above them. If we go back, can we stop this? The witnesses said nothing. Elena's voice broke the silence. How do we even get back? The ground below them cracked. A new beam of light appeared, not from above, but from beneath the platform. A vertical tunnel opened under their feet, leading down. Far below the surface, the echo turned toward it. There is one last chamber. The builders left a key. Not to escape, but to understand. Rachel nodded. Then we go. The crew entered the tunnel. It wasn't like the rest of the city. The deeper they went, the older everything felt. The walls weren't clean or smooth. They were rough, marked, with ancient writing, scratched, not carved. Like someone had written in desperation. They reached the final chamber. It was circular, dark, silent. In the center stood a sphere, floating inches above the ground. Not metal, not glass, something else. Its surface rippled like liquid, but never moved. Rachel stepped forward. Iris whispered in her earpiece. Caution. Extreme gravitational readings ahead. Rachel ignored it. She reached out and touched the sphere. Her mind left her body. She was still standing, but she was somewhere else. She saw the builders, not their ruins, not their memories, but the real ones alive. Millions of them, building towers, creating light, opening doors. They were explorers, scientists, dreamers. Then she saw what they found. A space between realities. A field of time and dark matter no one could map. In that space, something lived. Not a creature, not even a mind. Just need. Hunger. It fed on thought, on curiosity, on discovery itself. The builders tried to study it, tried to control it, and it consumed them. She saw them fall, city by city, mind by mind, until only a few remained. They sealed themselves into memory, into echo, waiting for someone to return, waiting for someone else to try again. Rachel fell back, gasping. The crew rushed to her. What did you see? David asked. She looked at him. Her voice shook. It doesn't want to destroy us. It wants to become us. Outside, the ground rumbled. The towers in the sky stopped spinning. One by one, they began to descend, slowly falling toward the city. The witnesses stood still, heads bowed. The echo's voice came once more. You must decide now. Rachel looked at her crew. At Marcus, now awake but weak. At the path behind them. And then at the stars above, still shifting, still bending around the newborn black hole. They were running out of time, and the choice was theirs. The sky above the alien city was no longer black. It had turned silver gray, full of cracks and lines, like a shattered mirror holding itself together. The towers that once floated now hovered just above the rooftops, humming louder than ever. The second black hole had grown. It now pulsed in the sky like a living eye, bending light, pulling the stars around it into spirals. Time itself felt strange. The crew's suits showed minor delays in system response. Seconds didn't feel like seconds anymore. Marcus sat against a wall, his voice weak but steady. It's awake now. Whatever was sleeping, it knows we're here. Rachel stood beside him, staring up at the sky. She knew they had minutes, maybe less. The builders hadn't just failed. They had tried to hold this thing back until someone else could finish the job, but no one ever came. Until now. The witnesses stood in a wide circle around the crew, silent, watching, waiting. One stepped forward. The door cannot be closed, but it can be sealed for a time. How long? Elena asked. A cycle. Maybe two. Enough for your kind to prepare. David paced back and forth, eyes wide. We came all this way for a delay? That's not a solution. It's not the end either, Rachel said. That thing, it feeds on discovery, curiosity, thought. It's drawn to intelligence. The Echo, what remained of the builders, moved toward the center of the city. Come, she said. You must see what they left behind. The crew followed, moving quickly now. The lights under the city flickered with every step. The streets shook. The signal roared in their ears, like a voice without words, screaming. From beyond space, the center of the city was a deep well, surrounded by thin metal towers. Inside the well floated a sphere of black light, identical to the first one Rachel had touched, but larger, unstable, flashing like a broken star. This is the anchor, the Echo said. The last defense. Rachel stared at it. It doesn't look like a weapon. It isn't. It's a prison, the Echo replied. But it needs a key, a living mind to close the loop. Marcus stood up. That's why it touched me. It was looking for an opening. You are still whole, the Echo said. That makes you the key. He looked at Rachel. If I go in, will I come back? The Echo didn't answer. The witnesses began to chant, not with sound, but through feeling. The air grew heavier. The towers vibrated. The sky tore a little more. Rachel touched Marcus's arm. There has to be another way. Marcus gave a tired smile. If there was, the builders would have found it. You said it yourself, we've passed the point of return. He stepped toward the sphere. The ground cracked beneath his feet, but he didn't stop. As he reached the edge of the well, the light rose to meet him, like it knew who he was, like it had been waiting. Then he turned one last time. Tell Earth not to follow the signal again. He stepped into the light. The city exploded with brightness. A shockwave rolled out across the ruins. The towers above dropped back into place. The second black hole froze, paused in mid-collapse. The witnesses fell to their knees, and the light went out. For a long time, no one moved. Then, slowly, the sky above began to clear. The spiral lines faded. The stars stopped bending. A soft, blue glow filled the space where the new black hole had been. It was gone. Or maybe sealed. Rachel looked around. The Echo stood in the center, alone now. The other Echoes had vanished, their purpose complete. You succeeded, Rachel said. The Echo nodded. For now. David walked up beside her. So what do we do now? You return, the Echo said. And you tell them. The danger. The cost. The warning. A beam of light shot up from the city, pure, bright white. A doorway through space. Way home. Rachel looked up at it. Then back at the place Marcus had disappeared. A part of her wanted to stay. To understand more. To find him. But he had made his choice. Now it was her turn. The crew stepped into the beam. The city vanished behind them, in the quiet of space. Far from the black hole, their ship systems came back online. Stars blinked into place. Time felt normal. Again, Earth was waiting. But everything had changed. They carried the last light of a dead civilization, and the memory of what waited just beyond the horizon.